Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 60 Seconds of Stoicism, your only 60-second podcast on the internet that lasts for a half hour. I am your host and solo host for the night, Ryan Lee Mays, writer of the Octad program and general fan of philosophy and faith. And today we're going to talk about something that on the surface it's going to appear as something we've talked about before, but it's going to go a lot deeper. It's doing things in due time. Right away we want to slap the word patience on it. And patience definitely plays an important part of it, but this is talking about the maturation process of becoming who we are as individuals, of the things that we seek to achieve, the things that we seek to have in our life as far as jobs and relationships and futures, and why we consistently compromise because we want to rush to receive those things. So that is kind of our focus tonight. I'm going to read a passage from Epictetus that's going to explain this a lot more. So listen closely here. Anything of importance takes time, even a bunch of grapes or a fig. If what you were telling me now was, I want a fig, I'd reply, be patient. First let the tree flower and then fruit, and then wait for the fruit to ripen. So given that it takes time for even a fig tree's fruit to mature, and it doesn't happen overnight, are you wanting to get the fruit of human intelligence so quickly and easily? You shouldn't expect that, even if I were to promise it to you myself. So what he's saying here is everything takes time. There is a process for everything to happen. As he's comparing it to the tree, it has to bloom and blossom, and the fruit has to come, and the fruit has to ripen for you to get it. And you can't just say, I want a fig, throw a magic seed in the ground, and then it's there for you. There's a process to it. So is our development as human beings. There is a process to it. Yet we hate that process. We despise the process. Because the process takes the one thing from us that we do not want, and that is time. We don't want to give that up. We want to be doing other things. We don't want to be devoting to that. We want it just to happen. I'm going to give you a case in point. I'm going to use myself as an example. This is my fourth podcast. The first three I had, and I've been going back to podcasting since 2007, 2008. So a long time here. We're getting close to 20 years coming up soon. And my past three podcasts failed, and I'll tell you why. Because we didn't see the results that we wanted to see quickly enough, and we kind of just abandoned them to do other things. That's kind of how we are in life in general. We want that thing so bad right now, we want to have it, that we're willing to compromise, and when it doesn't happen, we just abandon it. We give up on it. So I want to ask a question, and you guys can think about this for yourselves and how you would answer this, but what are our biggest contributors to our lack of patience in our own growth and development? What's the biggest contributor right now to you and your lack of patience for where you want to be in life? Now, if you say, I have no lack of patience, I'm just letting the chips fall where they may, and I'm just letting myself grow and become part of it, that's great, wonderful, good. But for most of us, and I dare say, it really would be the majority, we want it faster than we see it happening. So we start to compromise. One, for me, I think I can answer that question, is societal thinking. Where do we place in the society? Where are we in comparison to the people around us? Going back to that podcast, we let those three go because it wasn't successful in comparison to the other ones around us. Yeah, we had a small following. We might get a couple hundred listeners a week, here and there. And 200 people, if you set 200 people in a room and you look at them, you'd be like, that's a lot of dang people. 200 people. But when you're doing a podcast, you want hundreds of thousands of people listening to you. And that's understandable. That's what creates success. And that's what gets you sponsorships. And that helps you take off. But we compare ourselves to society. So we tried hard with this podcast to say, you know what? We're not going to hit a number. We don't care. We're going to get out there and we're going to talk about the things that we like. And hopefully there's a few other people like-minded that want to hear about these things and might have their own ideas they can share. And we're going to do this podcast. It was a much more mature process to all of this. To not say we're going to constantly look at numbers and how well we're doing. Because if we start comparing ourselves to society, we will never succeed the way others succeed. We are saying, okay, let's just take it into the realm of social media for it. You start your own social media platform and you get 2 friends, 5 friends, 10 friends. You get 2,000 friends. Man, 2,000 friends, that's a lot of people you have. That's a lot of followers. Then you see somebody's pages and they got 25,000. Next one has 100,000. Next one's topping 1,000,000. What are you doing so wrong in your life that you only have 2,000 followers? What is wrong with you? Why aren't you achieving what they're achieving? So then you start to compromise. You start to friend people that you would never have friended before. You start to put yourself out there on other people's videos and Facebooks and try to promote yourself so that you can get more and more views for it. And in doing so, you have this paper, hollow advancement that you did that was based on no actual growth. It was just you trying to compromise to push what you wanted to be like them. Maybe it's in business that you have. Maybe you have a business model that you truly believed in, but then you've seen somebody else's business is working better. So you abandon what you're doing to go after what they're doing. Ryan Holiday talks about that all the time. He worked for American Apparel, and he talks about how the owner of it did the same thing. He started looking at the businesses around him and saying, I'm going to start doing their model instead of sticking to his own successful one, because he didn't want it to naturally grow and mature to where those other ones were at. He wanted their success right now, and it failed miserably. So we can see that happen when we try to force our own growth and our own success instead of watching it mature on its own. Mark 4:30, and he said, whereunto shall we liken the kingdom of God, or with that comparison shall we compare it? Is it like a grain of mustard seed, when which is sown in the earth is less than all the seeds? But when it's sown, its growth, it becomes the greatest of all of the plants, and it shooteth great branches, so that the fowls of the air may lodge under the shadow of it. The mustard seed, the tiniest seed there is in existence. It is the size of a pinhead. And then when it's planted, and it's nurtured, and it's grown, and it's rained upon, and it's sunshined on, and the years go by, it grows into a massive tree. A massive tree. Because it had to go through its own process, its own time. We don't put a mustard seed in the ground and say, why aren't you giving me shade the next day? It just doesn't make sense, but we do that to ourselves. I do it to myself all the time. I still look at numbers on our YouTube channel. Oh man, we didn't get any subscribers this week. I need to put up another video. Not I need to put up another video because it's going to help somebody, or that it's going to contribute to maybe some growth or development somewhere, but just like, I got to keep up with this number. I got to keep advancing the number because it's all about the number. And I push myself towards that. Instead of doing what I'm supposed to be doing, putting out good content, putting out things that can help people, putting out something that's a bit more pious than selfish with that, and hoping that those things help people. And if the growth is there, great. But if it's not, I'm still doing the right thing. I'm still watering. I'm still sowing. I'm still taking those steps. And the growth will come. Because see, if the growth doesn't come in the channel numbers that I get, the growth will come in my own personal development of who I am as a human being. The growth will come in the patience that I've earned. The growth will come in my self-satisfaction for creating something good. The growth will come that I took a moment to think about other people instead of myself. That's the growth. That's the fruit that comes from that. But you can't just force it all the time. Another reason I think that we have lack of patience in our own growth and development is a fear of finality. I got to get it done now because I just don't have much time left. That can be a very deceiving statement. Because it could be true. You might not have much time left. We're not promised tomorrow. Maybe this is all you have, and maybe you'll go on to live another 40 years between this. Does that mean that we should speed up our process for that? Does that mean we should speed up our natural growth and development? Not necessarily. Yes, I've said before that death should push us to live life, and I agree with that. I believe it should push us to live for our relationships and to do good and to help other people. But it should never push us to compromise who we are and who we're trying to turn into. because I got to get it done by a deadline. If I don't have this achieved by 55, I am a failure. If I don't retire early by 60, then I've done everything wrong in my life. Says who? Society? Yep. But if you allow those steps to happen, to where you're growing and developing and seeing real, true results in who you are as a human being, then it doesn't matter what the society norms are telling you. You don't hit retirement at 60, work till your ending day, because there's some goodness that's found in that. I didn't become a millionaire by the age of 45. Oh well, was money everything? Nope. Did I help 1 million people along the way somehow by helping one that helped 10, that helped 20, that helped 100? Good. That's where it should be measured at. But instead, again, the fear of finality, we have to get it done by a certain time, and we have to compare it to society, and that pushes us to compromise who we are and what we do. So let's look at another one here from Seneca. They should be scattered like seeds. A seed is just a little thing, yet when it lands into the right spot, it unfolds into its resources and expands into a great growing plant. Reasoning does the same. When you examine it, it is of small extent, but when you put it into effect, it grows. Only a few words are said, but if the mind receives them well, they become tall and strong. Taking in the process of growth and development for that. Letting those few words kind of ruminate in your soul and help you grow and develop through that. That's beautiful. It takes time. I wouldn't say this is the agriculture episode, but it sure seems like it, because we're going to be talking a lot about seeds and plants. And I'm going to tell you, this is a 2-part episode. Next week, we're going to be talking about the fruits that come from that patience of growth and development. But as far as that goes, of that planting that seed and watering it and letting it have its natural process, it's very, very difficult for us to do. So what happens when we push growth without any kind of foundation? Where we say, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to make this happen. I don't know how. I haven't researched it. I haven't gone through enough. I haven't talked to the right people. But I want it so bad that I'm going to push that. So what happens to that? Well, first of all, I think we compromise. That's one of our biggest things. We compromise. It's not really how I wanted it. It's not really the way I would have done it. But at least it's getting done, so it's good enough for me. Really? Is it? Because there's a lot of plants out there that bear fruit that's unedible. I mean, it did its job, though. It bared its fruit, right? That was the whole point. It's to grow and bear fruit, not if it's not good. It wasn't worth the time. It wasn't worth the effort. So don't compromise on those things. And some of those things that we compromise on are things like relationships. We want that so bad that we compromise on it. We're looking for somebody in our life to what we think, quote unquote, complete us, fulfill us. We're looking for that mate that we want, that spouse, that partner, that we start to compromise what we're looking for. Well, I know in my head that I want somebody who's going to be faithful to me, that's going to care about me, that's going to work hard, and it's going to be a good parent. Okay, that's what I will not compromise. But I really want to be in a relationship, so this person that I met is usually pretty nice to me, and they talked about kids, but said they didn't really want them, but I can probably change them on that. And yeah, I mean, they do talk to other people sometimes, but I mean, I seem to be the most important one that they're talking to. And we start making these compromises that we should never have done in the first place. I admire and respect so much the people that know what they want and just say nope right away in a relationship when those things happen. No, oh, you're still talking to somebody else? You're still having a... Nope, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Thank you. Have a good day. Sorry, I promise I will never quote another Ariana Grande line, but thank you next is exactly what they do for that. I just don't want that in my life. I'm not going to compromise on that. But I dare say that probably most of us have been guilty of that in some way. And the reason why I chose to ask my wife to marry me is because of the people that I had dated. I felt like I didn't have to compromise with her. She supported me in the things that I wanted to do, and she helped in my growth process. I didn't have to have this relationship. It became very natural to have. Oh, I believe this. You believe that too? Awesome. I think kids should be raised this way. Oh, you do too? Awesome. I think this should be where our focus is at. Oh, you do too? Awesome. And when the compromises aren't there, it naturally grows into a stronger relationship. Now, that's not to say that there aren't bumps in the road. There aren't thorns that need to be weeded out. There's not a garden that needs to be tended to. We still have to grow and develop as a couple. But when you're not compromising, things become more natural. Growth becomes more natural. And you start to get the relationships you want. Look at the partner you have right now. Look at the spouse you have. Do you have far more in common with them than you do in compromise? And if you can look at them and say yes, then awesome. Good on you. But if not, if it's just been one big compromise, then maybe this is a chance for you to really have some deep self-examination on whether or not you're trying to push this growth part of your life, or if you're letting it happen strongly. So in Matthew, verse 13, parables. Jesus was really good at throwing out stories that people could relate to their everyday life. And we have the parable of the sower here in Matthew, the 13th chapter. And he compares people hearing the word of God to different things. And one, he says, is, people hear the word of God and it doesn't resonate with them. And the wicked one comes and snatches them away. That's the end. There's no growth or development there at all. And then some are kind of thrown on the wayside, they're scattered about. There's no way for those seeds to ever catch root, catch grain. Some of them fall on rocks. And while those seeds try to grow and they might sprout a little bit, there's no deep foundation. There's no core development on there. There's no process. So they just die. They wither away. But then there's the seeds that fall in the good soil, where they grow and develop deep roots and deep understanding. And they set themselves up for success. And they grow through the process of growth and development. They're shined upon and watered upon and given room to breathe and grow. And they become exactly what they're supposed to be. They become fruitful. And that's what we want to do in our life. But we cannot push it. We cannot push it. Because if we do, we fail for that. So I want to talk about a particular school I know. And I won't say the name of the school. Somebody I know. They had a really great idea. They said, let's open up a school for students who are in need. Maybe last chance students, as people like to call them. They've gone through a system. They haven't been successful. Let's open it up. Great idea. Fantastic. The world applauds you. That's a good to do. But what they did was they completely skipped the foundation of what it's supposed to be. If you said you're going to start school, what would be some of the things that you would need to start a school? Well, you need good teachers. You need a good education system. You probably need to have people in place to work with, if things go wrong within the school, that can come in and work as a training or to work alongside of. None of those things were established in the school. It was basically done from a money-first perspective down. Let's get the money, and then as we filter down, then we'll start worrying about giving the quality education. And within a year, it started crumbling. And the poor teachers at the school, great teachers, they're working so hard. The dean is working hard. The assistant dean's working hard. They're working so hard to save the school. But the people who proposed it are watching it sink because they never set a foundation for it. And then they put people in charge that had nothing to do with education. They had nothing to do with the advancement of these students. And they failed. They failed. Because they do what we do a lot of times. We put the success before the foundation. We want that first. I've told my teachers before when I've done a training to look at the Statue of Liberty, and I say, what's the most important part of that Statue of Liberty? And some will say, well, it's the torch because it's the light to everybody. And some will say, well, it's the crown, showing liberty. Or some say it's the book, that's in the hand. The most important part of the Statue of Liberty is that nasty brown base that the Statue of Liberty stands upon. Because if that crumbles and falls, so does the Statue of Liberty into the ocean. It's that foundation that had to be set first in order for her to be built upon it. That's the most important part. But we don't want to do that because that takes time. And that takes effort. Epictetus says, that's the kind of plant you are too. You flowered before your time, and winter will kill you. Remember what farmers say about their seeds when an unseasonably early warm spell occurs. They worry that the seeds will shoot up and then a single frost will grip them and expose their weakness. You too need to be careful, man. You've shot up and rushed to gain a reputation before your time. Whoa. Like that's it right there. That's it right there. We wanted things before we were ready to have them. So we forced them and pushed them, and we're going to wither away. Same thing with our relationships. They start to fail on us because we start to compromise. We wear ourselves out because we think every little detail matters without seeing the bigger picture. I've been listening a lot to James Clear and reading his book, Atomic Habits. It's an absolute must. It's like if you have 10 books in your life, it's one of them. It should be. But he talks about focusing so much on the success, on the big picture, that's what we want. That we don't realize that we could have a great picture, a good picture, a really wonderful picture if we put the small bits of work into it that we need to do. I don't want that. I want to be a millionaire now. Great, be a millionaire now and lose all your assets in a year because you haven't set the foundations for your growth. I want to have the most subscribers on YouTube. Great. Have the most subscribers on YouTube. Get that gain. And then lose your channel. Have it demonetized. Have it fall completely flat when you can't keep up your videos and you don't want to put the time and effort into it. Let it fall. I want to have this relationship with this trophy spouse because, man, people are going to look at me and be like, oh, good for him or good for her. Great. Go for that. And when you're filing for divorce a few months later because you had no foundation, you had nothing in common, you compromised everything, you didn't agree on how to raise kids, you didn't agree on your finances, you didn't agree on your future, then look back and say, man, was that worth it? Or you have option B, the one that Epictetus is saying, where we take time to let things grow and develop and mature in our life. We take the time to let things find the sunshine, find the rain. We're going to go through harsh winters. We might lose a leaf or two. Our branch might bend or break. That's all part of our growth. And when we're done, we bear this beautiful fruit that is worth so much more than the success we want in our lives right now. Because the process brought us there naturally. It's got a foundation. It's got a root. It's been watered by the right things, patience, love, endurance. And now we have something in our life that can help other people, that can bring us purpose to who we are and who we should be to everyone. And that's where we're going to end tonight. We're going to go into part 2 next week because now that our plant has been watered and grown, now that we've been patient, now that we've had our due time, now that success comes as a byproduct of the hard work that you put in and not as the focus, now you've got fruit. And what are we going to do with that fruit in our life? That is where we'll focus next week, and we're going to hear from Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and Epictetus and Mark and a bunch of other people on that next week. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. You guys are important to us. And if just one listener turns back in next week, we will do a show. Because we believe it's important. And we believe in the process, all in due time. Thank you guys very much. We hope you have a great week ahead. And as always, Semper Studiosus. Bye, everybody.